Welcome to the program. We have a very special edition here of Daly's Daily Update. We have a special guest. We have Honorable Catherine McKenna.
Hi.
Catherine McKenna is the first female member of Parliament for Ottawa Centre, and she was elected in 2015. She is a passionate advocate of her community and communities in general, and she's the Minister of Infrastructure and Communities. She also, in her past, has had a real passion for the environment, was a former Minister of the Environment, and she co-founded a charitable organization called Level Justice. We're going to talk about all these things. She was a lawyer in Canada. She was a lawyer in Indonesia, worked for the UN in East Timor. She has a wealth of experience. She's a great, absolutely great role model for all of our students, and we're so pleased that she's here. And most of all, she's a mom of 3, and she's a resident of Glebe. Thanks for being here, Minister McKenna.
It's great to be here. How you doing?
Awesome. You're on Daly's Daily Updates. I'm sure you've heard of us, Sweeping the Nation. We're obviously very proud that you're a graduate of this school and being the current Minister of Infrastructure and Communities. So thank you so much for being here. You were a student at St. Mary's many moons ago, class of 1989. What do you remember about your time at St. Mary's? And are there any special high school memories or lessons that carried you through all these years?
Well, first of all, check it out. St. Mary's Athletics. Although I can't believe it. We've changed the name. It's St. Mary. Okay, that really threw me for a loop. And gosh, you're really talking about how I graduated a very, very long time ago. Look, I had a great time at St. Mary's. I had a lot of great friends, and my parents still live in the same home in the Hammer in Hamilton. Although, of course, the campus has changed for St. Mary's, so it's the new campus, which is probably the old campus for you guys. Look, I have lots of great memories. I was going through the yearbook. I mean, I wouldn't say this is my greatest memory, but I was a French winner of the French competition. Not
French
to brag.
Is big for us, still big for us.
I was on the swim team. We also had a really good swim team. I swam also. I swam with the Hamilton Wentworth Aquatic Club. But look, I just had a lot of great friends and a lot of great teachers, and who really, took a real interest. And that the teachers made a real difference. I ended up I studied at U of T. They had a really great swim team, which is why I went there. But a lot of the teachers really helped give me the foundations that I needed to be successful later on in school. And I had great friends. So here, I'll show you another picture. You're gonna be so bored because I was like a trip down memory lane. COVID-19, I'm kind of, stuck at home. So I thought, go check things out. So here we are. Here are my friends. You can see in the bottom. That's our graduation. There I am, graduating. There's Bishop Jonas. Yeah, I had a really great time at the school. There's just so many memories. Now I'm getting so old that they seem like quite a long time ago. But yeah, I had lots of fun.
Yeah, so you would have attended St. Mary's on I think our second campus. There's been 3 campuses. We're at the new building, but it started on the grounds of the Basilica. But the second campus was on the grounds of McMaster. Is that where you attended?
Yeah, so it was on the grounds of Mac, which was really fun because I swam every morning and every night at McMaster. So I'm going to tell you a story, which maybe, I don't know if I should say this, but I was a swimmer. So it was actually kind of like my hair looked like it does now in a ponytail. And I used to keep I would get up very early in the morning, go to swim practice on Mac campus, walk over from Mac to St. Mary's, pull open my locker, pull out my kilts, which I put over my track pants, and I had a white t-shirt and I put my blouse over, and I was ready to go. And that's how I rolled. And then I went back at the end of the day, went back to McMaster to swim again. But yeah, those were really long days, but it was very convenient for me to be on Mac campus.
Okay, well, that's amazing. No, it's just part of our history. We want to make sure the new students who they grow up in these beautiful buildings, they have to know the history of our school. We've been around for 50 years and it's been 3 different buildings. Many current students, high school students, they worry. They worry that they don't know where they want to go and they don't know what they want to do in their life. And I'm sure, and then that's sort of my question to you. When you were in high school, did you have this on your mind that you were going to be a lawyer and then maybe parlay into politics? You know, what was going through your mind when you were a high school student, and how did it, you know, set you up for a future?
You know what? The reality, I just wanted to go to the Olympics. I didn't think about this. I would never have imagined that I would be elected, in particular in Ottawa. I was from Hamilton, and that I would also become a minister. That was never the goal. But I think that one of the things that St. Mary's instilled in me was the importance of the community and giving back. And that's something that's always been really important to me. And so I did a number of things. And I think a lesson for students, because I think it's really stressful. So I have 3 kids now, and even my 15-year-old, she's like, what am I going to do with my life? And I kind of laugh. I say, like, what am I going to do with my life? Like, I keep on changing jobs. There'll be a life for me after politics. And so, you know, I wouldn't worry every single day about what you're going to do as your best job. You're going to have a lot of jobs probably, and you're going to have some jobs that aren't that great. But I think each opportunity is an opportunity to learn. But figure out what you're passionate about. And what I was really passionate about was making a difference. And so, not every job really contributed to that, but I felt that I got skills in every job. And I had the opportunity, I worked in Indonesia at a time where I saw students like literally get gunned down in the streets because they were fighting for democracy. And I realized, wow, we're really lucky in Canada. And we should be supporting young people. We should be supporting organizations. In some cases, we're supporting governments that are trying to rebuild. I worked really hard to get a job with the UN peacekeeping mission. And I did that. And I said, wow, well, Canada really has a role in the world. And so we should be working at making a difference. And that's how I got the idea of starting with another friend from Hamilton. She didn't go to St. Mary's, she went to Westdale. But my friend Yasmin Shaker, we started Canadian Lawyers Abroad, now called Level Justice. And it was really that. How do we have Canadian lawyers and law students help support organizations in developing countries? We ended up also working with Indigenous peoples and youth and communities. And then eventually got into politics. But the lesson is be passionate, look at what what your skills are, but also what do you really want to do? And in your life, there'll be reasons why you're not going to have the job you want. There might not be the opportunities. It may be that you've got a partner, and so you have to be in a particular, city, or you may have a sick parent, or you might have kids. And I don't think you don't every single day have to be gunning for the best job. But I think, really focus on what makes you happy, and how you can contribute. And, that can be through your job, or sometimes that can be through your volunteer and other activities. And I know there was a big emphasis on that at St. Mary's, to really giving back to the community, which really helped me.
Yeah, so thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, we do. Actually, this COVID-19 pandemic sort of interrupted one of our great legacies at our school. For the past 20 years, we've had groups of students go to the Dominican Republic to, we call it Dreams, and they go and they do missionary work down there for education and medical supplies. And unfortunately, it was during March break, and we had a very difficult decision, but we had to cancel it. And but the spirit of giving back to the community is still very alive in St. Mary's, and has been going back to '89 and probably along prior to that. I don't know if you know Anthony Giovinazzo, but he told me that St. Mary at the beginning started the service days where they went out into the community. So it's really a great legacy of our school. How are you surviving the COVID-19 pandemic, and how's it impacted your day-to-day?
So we are homeschooling at our house. And actually it's quite funny because there are things you come up with. So who's helping me homeschool is my dad. So my 82-year-old almost Irish father in Hamilton gets on Zoom and he teaches my kids Gaelic and Irish singing. So look, we do that. But like everyone else, I mean, I'm working. I do loads of calls because the reality on a more serious note is that COVID-19 is extremely challenging for so many people. It's not just a health challenge, which absolutely it is a health challenge. And we have so many healthcare workers that are out there, you know, really trying to support, you know, making sure that we're able to get out of this. But it's really hard on regular people. It's hard on small businesses that are really struggling because we're all shut down now. It's hard on vulnerable populations and the organizations that's serving them, from the food banks to the shelters. It's hard on people who are self-employed or contractors. So a lot of my day right now is doing phone calls and really figuring out how can we support Canadians better. So we've announced a number of different programs, but we need to keep on iterating on these programs and really saying, okay, are they working? Do we need to make some changes? So we've made changes along the way. Students, we need to be making sure there are jobs for students, but also that they can afford to go to university and college. So I do a lot of that. I'm a swimmer, so I'm not able to swim. So I must say that is extremely hard. I go for runs with our dog. I don't love running, but it's fine. And, you know, like everyone else with the kids, we probably spend too much time watching Netflix and, you know, hanging out. But the nice thing about it, and getting back to community, is that I've really noticed Canadians coming together and recognizing how important the local community is, that you can be a bit disconnected to that, but think how important now being able to go outside in nature is. And actually in Hamilton, where certainly, you know, St. Mary's is, we're lucky that there, you know, there's the ravine, there's green space, and also, you know, recognizing how important local businesses are. Many of them are closed, but some of them you can order food from, or you can try to support them in other ways. Recognizing, you know, people that we might not notice, that, you know, the grocery store clerks who literally are risking their health to help serve us. The volunteer organizations and charities that so many people have stepped up to donate to. So I think that's been a really positive thing coming out of COVID-19. And I think certainly for me, I think we need to rethink how we better support people in the longer term. I think it's exposed some real challenges, and everyone should have a chance to succeed. And especially when you look at our seniors and most vulnerable, we need to make sure that we can protect them. So look, it's really hard, and I know it's really hard for Canadians. So certainly my role is to really figure out how do we best support them and work with our government to do that.
No, okay, thank you. Yeah, no, we, through this program, we do find a positive. We try to find positives. There are positives there, but we recognize what a challenge it is for so many people. And the local business has been a theme of us, that we're trying to support the local businesses. So you talked already about level of justice, so I'll move on out of that, and I'm respectful of your time. I only have 2 more questions. Dare to Dream was also a program you're well known for, and I'm sure many of my students in the community are unfamiliar with this. And do you want to explain what you're trying to accomplish with that program?
So Dare to Dream was a program working with Indigenous youth. And one of the things in Canada that we have a real challenge with, which is making sure that we have true partnerships with Indigenous peoples. And, you know, when I was growing up in Hamilton, I'll tell you, I didn't really know any Indigenous youth. And so it's hard to have empathy or to even understand the history of colonization and the impacts on Indigenous peoples when you don't know anyone. And so this program was originally started actually to help Indigenous youth recognize that the justice system was to support them. It wasn't, you know, for often they would have negative experiences, maybe with family members or other experiences. And so it was really to talk about that, to do sentencing circles, to look at different ways to administer justice. But we did that with we had Indigenous lawyers and we were supporting Indigenous youth, but we also brought in non-Indigenous lawyers and non-Indigenous youth. And the most interesting part of that program was the people that actually gained the most was probably not even the Indigenous youth. It was the non-Indigenous, you know, young people and lawyers who actually got to meet really incredible young people, and they learned about sentencing circles, and they learned about medicine wheels, and they learned about, you know, the history of residential schools. And empathy is so important, and being able to get out of your particular, you know, life and recognize that other people have different experiences is a way that we can actually all grow together. We can better support each other. And in terms of reconciliation, that is the only way we will move forward. That if we can actually, just have a better understanding of challenges and opportunities. And so it was a really amazing program. I met some like super awesome Indigenous youth who totally inspired me. They were teaching me hip hop and all sorts of things. Like it was great. And like even smudging ceremony, I'd never done a smudge ceremony. So a lot of these things that I think we've got to get outside of our comfort zone sometimes, put away our ego, and just go experience a different culture and life, but also have some empathy, because we got a lot of work to do on the reconciliation front. So I thought that was a really great experience for everyone.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That spirit of giving and then actually receiving by giving, again, is a big theme of ours. I spoke earlier about our dreams trip. But when they go down there and they see the joy of these people who have very little, and then they come back, it's always been a program that actually has helped our students more so than we've helped them. They've actually helped us as at least as much, if not more. It's kind of been a legacy of our program. So again, thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. And I know I speak on behalf of all the students and staff and parents and community to say thank you. And I mean this sincerely when I say it, like, we have so many wonderful kids in our school, and you might be inspiring the next minister, member of parliament, who knows, prime minister, because I know that.
I hope so.
I hope so too. And do you have any parting words to leave with our community?
Look, I mean, this is a really challenging time. So one, do follow what you need to do, what the health professionals are saying in terms of social distancing. Reach out to people who are lonely, to your grandparents who you may be not able to see. And of course, I wouldn't still be someone who I was formerly Minister of Environment and Climate Change, care about the planet. We still obviously we have a lot of work to do when it comes to protecting the environment and tackling climate change. And I know young people know that more than anything else. And the last thing is vote. You need to vote. If you don't vote in your first election, you're less likely to ever vote. It's incredibly important. And as the students know, your students who've been to the Dominican Republic or students who have traveled many other countries, you do not have the opportunity to vote, freely. You don't have the same privileges that we do here. And I think it is really important. We have to believe in politics. It does really matter. I've seen that. And I don't care what party you vote for, but get out and vote. And I hope one day, we were planning to have me speak at St. Mary's and hang out with some students there. So hopefully I can come back. I don't know when I'm going to have to take off the apostrophe.
Oh, no, you can wear the apostrophe S with pride. You can wear it with pride. We took it off the front of the building. You might be the winner of the auction when we auction off the apostrophe.
Oh, maybe I'm totally in for the apostrophe S. Anyway, I just want to thank you. And thanks to all the teachers at St. Mary's, because I wouldn't be here without all the support I was given. And you know what? Who knows who, hopefully someone from St. Mary's gets to be Minister of Infrastructure or the Prime Minister one day.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Anyways, thank you again. I really, really appreciate it. We're very lucky to have you here. Amazing. What a great experience for everybody. Thank you.
Great. Bye.
Bye.